So I'm going to record this and then you can look back at it if you need to. So go to image size, because this is kind of important before you get to the image changes. We're going to change this to 5 inches by 3 inches. It'll kind of automatically update. And then you're going to change this to 300 resolution. So you're getting closer. See how your file size went from 68 megabytes to 4. That's perfect. Okay, click OK. And when you're done, it's going to get a little smaller so you can zoom back in. Now we're ready to manipulate the image. So now we have the layer 0. And if you want him to be black and white, all you need to do, and you could do it with any of these selection tools. You have your lasso tool, which is kind of like a freehand selection tool. You have a polygonal lasso tool. That's good for like buildings, anything that's like straight lines. And you have your magnetic lasso tool. And this is kind of a cool tool that I like to use because it kind of magnifies itself to the area that you're trying to select. Right. The only thing about this tool is it's good to use when you have a very contrasted image on, say, like if he had more of a lighter background and less busy, that would be a good tool to use, because then you can see here, I'm just clicking on him. It will magnify more of him rather than the background, because what it's doing is when you're clicking with this, it's selecting the pixels that's on his jacket or around his body, and it's just magnifying itself to those same color pixel range. Okay. So you can see it's kind of like doing my work for me if I follow along here, but sometimes it gets off track. Like see down here, it gets really close to the outside color, but that's okay. We're gonna just let that go for now, and I'll show you how to refine that. But this is kind of a cool tool to kind of start out with if you want to. And you need to click one time before you start, and it has to, it should be on the outside of his body, like as close as you can get to the edge of his body and the background, because you want to get as, you know, as detailed as possible. You don't want to have a weird outline around his body. That's not, that you can actually see your changes. And then you have to end at the very beginning where you started. So that's going to create your selection. So you see these little, I call these marching ants. They look like little marching ants. Yeah. If you go over here into your toolbar at this point, all the way at the bottom, you have your foreground and your background, which should be black and white. At the very bottom of that, there's a special little edit and mask mode. So if you click on that, what that's going to show you is everything that you have selected, which is him, is going to be normal looking. And everything that's not selected is going to be red. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to show you, see how I kind of goofed up on his knee right here? See how it's not real close to his knee? So at this point in this edit mask mode, I can zoom in with that edit mask mode selected, and I can take my paintbrush tool, hit B on your keyboard to get right to it. You'll have to downsize here. And what you're going to do with, and you're going to have to swap these out because white is reveal and black is select. So just swap this out. So black is on the forefront, and you're just going to paint over what you want not selected. Now you could do the same if you swap these back to white in the front. You can kind of do the same thing, only, you know, you're editing it what you want selected. So that kind of helps you refine your image a little bit. See how I didn't really get his shoe right here. So I would flip it so the foreground color is white, and I would go in here with the paintbrush tool and just paint around here, you know, as close as I can. It's good to zoom in so you get like as close as you can. And then when you're done, go ahead and just click on that mask, edit mask mode again, and you'll see that your selection is much better now. It's much more refined. And now what you can do is you can edit just him, okay? Mm-hmm. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to layer, new adjustment layer, and we're gonna go to hue and saturation. Click OK. And when this properties panel pops up, you can pull just the saturation down on him. Look how he changes, but his background stays in color.
I kind of like, reason why I was doing it like that was because it was I don't know, like I feel like a picture says 1,000 words. Like I really take that in. So it's like like life is always going on, and I feel
Yeah.
like he's trying to capture it, and he's the main artist. So
Yeah, that's
they're,
cool.
they're just they're gonna see him gray and white.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I
so
don't,
that would be a perfect effect for that. So you can see here your hue and saturation. If you just click right on the eyeball in the layers panel just to hide it, you'll see that color come back. So if you ever need to adjust this, just go ahead and double click over top of your hue and saturation, and then your hue and saturation should come up here. There we go. So you can kind of adjust this if you wanted to go a different route. Or if you wanted to delete this and start over, you can do that. That's nice. That's the nice thing about layer adjustments. You're not actually doing it to the original image. When you're done, go ahead and save it. And you're going to want to name this. You can keep it client 5 or whatever, but you're going to want to save the PSD file. This is before you go and place it into Illustrator. And then you're going to want to do a file save as, and you're going to save this as a TIFF file. TIFF files are great files for print because it doesn't throw away any pixel information. It keeps it very high res for printed purposes. It's the preferred file format to save out for high res print. So we're going to click the TIFF file, click OK. It's going to increase your file size. And then when you're ready, let me share my whole desktop here. When you're ready to place this in Illustrator, make sure you're going to go File New. And you can go to print, that's fine. Just make sure you're in inches over here. And you're going to do 3.5 by 2 if you haven't done this yet. You can set your bleeds at 1/8 of an inch. Everything else looks good. Oh, I forgot to do artboards, which we can fix that. If you forgot to do artboards, which you should have 2, just go up to Window and choose Artboards, and you'll see this panel. Just click on the little plus sign, that'll give you 2. Have you done this part yet?
no, I was more or less on that, and I was just like it kind of got like at a
Got
frustrated moment,
stuck
and
on that, yeah.
I'm like I know I need help, so I need to reach out.
That's okay. So when you have your TIFF file ready to place in Illustrator, go File, Place. Find that TIFF file that I just put it on my desktop. So here we are. And when you're ready to place, it's going to ask you to click and drag. It might be a little bit of a weird size, so you might need to kind of, it's okay if it goes over the bleed. It should go over a little bit. Should meet up at least to the bleed edge. Oops. Oops. I'm doing, hold down the shift key when you're doing that so it's not distorting it. So there you go. And then you can kind of adjust this based on your trim edge. If you want to see how this is going to look without the overbleed part, you would just go to your, that's not going to be it. Hold on here. View, trim view. Pretty cool. So if that's kind of bothering you, you can go to trim. Now this red line is your bleed, so that's not going to necessarily print. Your white box, the edge of where it hits the gray is where it's actually going to trim. But the reason why you have a bleed, say if you have an image that you want to go beyond, go to the trim edge, you want to bleed because on press, when you go to a printer press and you print, hundreds of these, it could shift on the press. So if you have this right up against the trim edge, you might have a shift in the press with the paper, which might result in a gap of a white area, which looks really weird.
Oh, so
So
you want to
yeah,
over?
that's what the bleed is for.
Okay.
So if it shifts at all, you're not going to have a weird white gap there. If you don't have any, like say on this side, which is maybe the front, if you don't have any color or any imagery that should bleed off, that's fine. Just leave it as is. And you're going to take your type tool and you're going to paste in the information that was given to you in the Word file, the company name and all that good stuff.
So
And you're going to match You know, you can even create a little logo if you want for this. And then have the company name with the logo.
How do I put can I put the name on this when I go into this Adobe Illustrator? Can I put the name on the picture? Like
Yeah,
the name of
as
the
long
person?
as it's readable. If it's not readable, then you have a little bit of an issue, but
Yeah.
yeah, for sure you could do that. Here's one that I showed when I used to teach this class myself before I was a lab instructor. You could kind of make up your own little logo, kind of like what I did here
That's
for the
neat.
front. And then you could have the back image. I'm going to place that image again. You know, make it correspond with the client. You know, you obviously want to make it so that it makes sense for the client. Your type
Yeah.
choices, your color choices. Like I would probably change the colors here to better unify.
Mhm.
So here's a really cool tip. So if you place your image on this side, if you take the eyedropper tool in Illustrator and say you want to take a color from in here, say I want to do maybe this nice cool teal color, you can sample that color by clicking right on that color on the image and see how it puts it into the swatch here.
Yeah.
So you can just double click on that and then add it to your color swatches.
Oh, this neat.
And then go to your color swatches. There's my swatches. There we go. I should add it in here. There it is. Right there. I'm going to pull it in here. And then I can change the background based on, you know, if I think that works. It may not work. I don't know. Just play around with it. Now I might need to adjust certain things based on that, but you get the idea. If I did something like that.
That's neat. I just
Probably would go a little darker though, because I think that might look a little bit better. Here we go.
so on this right here, if I just wanted to, if I'm correct, like if this was who it was, and we was really like doing that, and you did this, one side of the card would be the picture.
Yeah, I mean, look at some business cards of photographers to get some really good inspirational things of how you want to do it. That's kind of the start of your process as a designer, is getting inspiration on, okay, well, what other photographers, what do their business cards look like? Do like a Google image search, see how their layouts are. Don't necessarily copy them, but use it as inspiration. You know, how are their layouts? Do you see some really cool grid structures that, you know, with the name and like, you know, maybe there's
Mine is like if I was to use this picture, I would want it to like I don't know, like it's like a fade, and then the one that's on the top be on that too.
okay, so if you're like, you want this in the background,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you could do something really cool like this, where say if you wanted to still keep this color and it's in the back. So let's bring up our properties. Actually, let's see, properties panel. Properties panel is awesome. That's where you want to go to for a lot of these things. You can change the opacity of this color in front of this photo.
That's
So
pretty.
that, isn't that neat?
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that your type is readable. So you want to kind of, you know, how I'm going to show you, this looks readable right here, but if I were to go any further down, see how it's getting harder to read right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure, and if you're using it as an aesthetic, it's okay if you don't see the whole picture. You can kind of, as long as you can read the copy, you're good. You
Yeah.
need that contrast.
Okay.
If you just wanted to do, say, this picture and you just wanted to make that opaque with the white behind it, you could do that too. You just need to adjust your copy.
Okay.
So
This is gonna be on like your page or for the recording.
yeah, I'm gonna send it to you in your email. This is just for
Okay.
you. So this will be for you to go back and to review.
Yeah, I was just like confused at first, and I'm like, and then the way I made the warm colors, usually like the warm color, when you click on the warm color, it was orange, and then I put like a blue in the orange, which they changed the sky.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you don't want certain things to change color, you need to mask those areas out. I mean, you could even mask just the sky out. You could, there's so many things that you can do, but masking and selecting those areas and doing, you know, kind of pulling that out apart from the rest of it is key. Because, and I'll show you here. Like if you just wanted to select the sky here, I'm going to do this. You can even select this with your pen tool. This is pretty. But it's just key on, you know, getting that selection made before you make that new adjustment layer.
All right.
Or else it's going to do it to the whole selection.
I don't know why I didn't try that pen tool.
Well, it is a little trickier. Sometimes it gets a little tricky. Let me see here. I actually have to make this into a selection because right now it's a shape. So this is where it gets a little tricky. So I have to go to paths. So if you do it this way, oops, I just lost my, oh, here's my path. If you do it this way with the pen tool, you have to look in your paths in order to create your selection. Then you hit this little, so it's a little different than what I just showed you with the lasso tool. So now you can go back, select your original layer, go up to layer, just like you did the other thing. And then you can change, like say if you want it to be more blue, you could do a color balance on just that sky. Let's bring it over my palette over here. And like say you want it to be dark blues. You can affect the midtones here, the shadows of that selection here, and the highlights here. See what I'm doing?
Yeah. So you would, like, when I do that, like I would want it to be like basically the same type of color, like in the same areas, like you just did, like both of those, or I can mix it with a different color.
Oops. So okay, so ask that again.
You know how you did the first,
The hues, this one.
yeah, and then you did the coloring balance.
Mm-hmm.
There was two of the indicators. If you just click on it again, I just want to.
This one.
Yeah, you see how that was?
Mm-hmm.
So those two, you want them to be like the same exact colors, like when you slide it across, like the two, so it could blend proper.
They could be whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
It doesn't, you know, it's, you could even just, if I'm hearing you right, you could even just, you know, you make it what you want it to be.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't have to be blue. You can make it, you know, red. You can make it whatever, you
Red.
know.
One can be blue and one can be
Oh
red.
yeah, like you could do some really cool stuff, but it has to make sense for the image. It has to look good
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
concept that you want. So I just
I'm
wanted to show you how you could do that selection on top of what we just did with him. You can make another layer mask. You just need to make that selection first.
all right.
So like say, let's zoom in here. So let's say I want to only go back to layer 0, and I just want to affect this yellow street part here. Let's see here. And again, I can refine this kind of like I showed you with my quick mask mode. That's a little bit more advanced. So don't feel like this is probably something that your instructor didn't go over, the quick mask mode, but that's just something to how to easily refine your selection. And now go up to layers because it's selected. And let's say we want to make this a different color. We can go to hue and saturation, and we can easily make this a different color by sliding over the hue.
It's pretty dope.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm very like, how would I say, I harp on myself because I'm like, you know, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I know you know some of this stuff, you know?
No, it's okay. It just takes your learning. This is the first class too. So this is where you should be. And you're going to have more classes in Photoshop and Illustrator as you go forward. So you're going to hone in on your skills. So
Right.
this is, you're getting into some advanced stuff here of what I showed you, So as long as you can go back and just do the steps I told you and do them correctly, then that's how you learn, and you'll get there and you'll kind of understand it once you go through it again.
Yeah, see, she showed us, but she like how you did it. I don't know. 'Cause I was telling her, I was like, yeah, last time I was like, yeah, April was a big help. It made it more better for me to understand.
Yeah, sometimes it's different. Some instructors do teach a little differently, so I understand that. Yeah, well, good. So you understand that, and then you're good with Illustrator too?
Yeah, this part I kind of like that how that went about. I just want to take the video and kind of like so I could be able to step by step kind of like see
Yes,
it and
exactly. Good. Okay. Well, good. So I'll go ahead and process the video and then I'll send you the link. It'll be like a YouTube video and then you can go and rewind it as many times as you want.
it's gonna be in my personal email.
Yeah, I can send it through Canvas if you
Okay.
want.
All right. It should pop up on my.
I'll send it to both just in case.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, honestly, you can help me out more than. I was over here stressing and I was like, oh my
Yeah, yeah. But I think once you get into this, you're gonna have so much fun. It'll be like you could do this for hours, like the image manipulation.
yeah.
So much fun. All right. Well, let me know if you have any questions and you have a good night.
You too.
All right. Thank you.